I have seen so many reports on people in America becoming lonely and being without friends over the years. I would say I have a substantial friend group, but it has been shrinking slowly. I am aware that some people just grow old and have families, but even that has been declining. In fact, there have never been more single people in America than there are now. What are the reasons you think this is? Are there any solutions? Will it get worse or better? Thanks for the feedback. Story 1. I see a lot of talk about the loss of the third place, and I think there's some merit to it. Previous generations had a third place, where they spent a great deal of their time when they weren't at home or at work. Church, the neighborhood bar, the bowling alley, and so on. They tended to hang out with the same people at the same place on a regular basis and develop close friendships and communities. These places still exist, but they feel much more fragmented, and the level of effort required to get a group together on a regular basis seems much higher because there are so many other stressors and distractions competing for our time. Nowadays, the third place is the internet, a much more impersonal, faceless, and lonely way to interact with other humans. Story 2. It's very comfortable to just be in your house all the time. The cost of opportunity has risen too, so to meet up with random people to try your luck. Story 3. Reliance on technology and being in our own world is incredibly easy. We can never leave our homes and never be bored. Also, it's never been less affordable to socialize. Depending on where you are, it may also be difficult to socialize at all. Story 4. Everyone is becoming more isolated. I could sit in my apartment all weekend and never interact with anyone due to video games or similar activities. Job hopping is normal and we don't really become friends with coworkers. Ending relationships and marriages is more accepted. Additionally, due to birth control and the ease of living alone, there are fewer people getting together in the first place. Story 5. I don't know what you count as this generation, but the book Bowling Alone is almost 25 years old. A more recent one is on social infrastructure, which gets at much the same ideas. Story 6. Just stay at home with the puppy. My mom died this week, and I am reeling. The point is, it's all fun and games until real tragedy happens, and then you need a support system. I'm going to church just to find people who will console me. Be warned. Story 7. All my friends believe that meeting together can be replaced with just texting every now and then. Almost all of them claim to be in touch with people from high school, when in reality it has been years since any of them met or even attempted to meet. They see the highly filtered version of others on social media and are content with it. Most people are like this. Somehow the pandemic has convinced people it's okay to be apart and just be in touch. But since most people believe that, and I believe the opposite, I must be wrong. There's nothing I can do to convince others, too. Not to mention it's getting insanely hard to meet new people due to the lack of third spaces. Even if you do meet, they seem to already be with their social group and aren't looking to know new folks. It's just messed up all around. Story 8. We rely too much on rapid external validation and are bombarded by an insane amount of social media daily. This uncertainty of our place in the world leads us to not have a well-developed sense of internal purpose and self-esteem. We are always comparing ourselves to artificial images of others, and we become too self-critical. Frankly, we are just far too mean to ourselves. Take care of yourselves, guys. You all matter. Honestly, if you're lost and lonely, find a way to help others. Leave the world a better place than you found it. That's the real purpose of humans. Story 9. I think there is not a single reason you can point to. It is hard to meet people now due to moving a lot, distance to events, lack of casual free events, and probably less free time than years past. No church, social clubs, local sports. People do not really just show up to a place to hang out with no plans or others to meet up with. With dating applications, you have the promise of finding someone who is perfect right off the bat. If they are not perfect right away, just go back and try again. There are fewer incidental moments for talking with strangers now. Asking the time, the weather, the news, or directions gave people a reason to interact. You have got a phone for all of that. Modern strip malls have no hangout space. You go there to pick up a thing and then go home. With phones now, you do not have a reason to just drop by someone's home to see if they are there. You need to call ahead of time and make plans. Far less spontaneity than there used to be. Just some off the top of the head reasons. All that adds up to a lot of issues. Story 10. On-demand shows and movies, video games, pornography, modern society telling men all these arbitrary hoops they need to jump through to be graced by a woman. Men underestimating the value of bonding with other men. Story 11. Lack of cheap third spaces and lack of community, my friend. Lack of community is the number one thing that causes depression, in my opinion, also. Social media makes people feel that they are more connected, but it's just an illusion. It can't replace actual social connection. As technology advances, it just separates us more. We live in a lonely dystopia fueled by the endless pursuit of money through the means of innovation. We pay for the services and products they create, even though they separate and stifle us. Then they profit again off our depression and anxiety, all while controlling various narratives through the media so that we don't become wise and overthrow them. We're in the world's fastest passenger train barreling towards an impenetrable brick wall. It is not sustainable and it won't end well. Story 12. Your smartphone and applications. Everything from social media to streaming services to online shopping. Our entire modern technology-focused society is built on largely solitary activities, and they give us just enough comfort to supplant our real-life social needs. My personal philosophy is that it's not the tool's fault. It's humanity. We settled for less, and our social skills atrophied, making it hard to try again. Especially when everybody else is doing what we're doing, living on autopilot, staring at screens. Story 13. Back in the day, you had to socialize or else you would be bored to death. Sure, maybe you stayed in and watched a ball game or something, but imagine sitting down and watching a game with commercials alone without your phone. Yeah, I would give someone a call and meet up for a beer real quick. Story 14. I'm in my mid-20s. The older men I work with, who are in their 60s and above, go out once or twice a week and play pool. That's what hanging out means for them. Similarly, Generation X went to arcades, roller rinks, or the mall. On the other hand, for my fellow Generation Z and Millennials, hanging out basically means dinner or the bar. There's a major lack of a popular secular third space. My friend group hasn't really grown in the past year. Why? We don't do activities that actively encourage us to mingle with others. We aren't alone in this either. My brother's college friends haven't had any new additions. They are welcoming people. It's just that mingling doesn't happen much anymore. Story 15. It's going to get worse. The question I ask myself most is, at what percentage of the ever-increasing male suicide rate will be the tipping point for actual change to occur? Not just patronizing words of false hope. And how many men will be left over? Yeah, I'm scared too, dude. I'm glad I have one close male friend. Guys reading this, if you don't have that one friend you can turn to, reach out. Let's make some connections. Take the first step and say hi. You'd be surprised how men want to support each other, but we are just weirdly resistant to men helping men without it being seen as gay. Happy to chat about science and space stuff. Story 16. People just don't put as much effort into our friendships as I do, so I just let them drift away. I'm not hurt by it. They could do something about it if they wanted, but they didn't. Story 17. Because of social media and dating applications, everyone is so replaceable now. We do not value what is right in front of us because there is always something better just a swipe away. People treat each other like they are disposable. Divorce has become socially acceptable. We have so many options, we end up not choosing anyone. Story 18. Because people are okay with staying at home all day. It really is that simple. It used to be boring to sit inside alone all day. Now it isn't. Pretty simple. Story 19. I have a pretty wide-ranging collection of friends too. But as I am in my mid-30s, I have been intentionally distancing myself from some. I am spending more time with the ones I am truly close with and basically moving the party friends to more of a casual acquaintance level. Story 20. I would like to add the impact of housing affordability that I rarely see mentioned in this conversation. It has a very widespread flow-on effect. When houses are unaffordable, instead of settling in one place for years to decades, people have to move between houses. When you have to move houses regularly, changing jobs is also much more common, partly driven by moving house and other independent factors. This results in a large shakeup of your social life. All the people you were close to now become distant. You are never able to settle in one place or feel comfortable establishing yourself in hobby, interest, or volunteer groups. I have experienced this many times myself. I will invest in an interest or volunteer group, and by the time I start getting involved or engaged, I need to move again and uproot everything. My options become either start all over again, assuming the same groups exist in your new location, or just do not bother being involved in the first place to save yourself the hassle. The end result is that unaffordable housing uproots friendships, work relationships, volunteer and charity connections, and just local community interactions generally. It incentivizes disconnecting, as it becomes too much mental work restarting these relationships every year or so ad infinitum. Story 21. Higher financial strain means less social activity, especially for teenagers who used to hang out at malls, go to the movies, bowling alleys, and arcades. Not to mention, third spaces are dying. Increased density leads to smaller accommodations. When I was a kid, everyone had houses, and we frequently had house parties and sleepovers. Now, I know many people, especially in major cities, raising kids in 800 square foot condos. It's harder to hang out. And the opposite sex? When I was a teenager, I could sneak girls into the basement while my parents were 2 stories up. Good luck doing that with a smaller place and doorbell cameras everywhere. Last but not least, cell phones, of course. Boredom doesn't exist. There's less desire to go out, explore, and hang out with friends. You can literally just sit on your phone and scroll around for hours. Kids these days grow up using it as a social crutch and, as a result, never have to put themselves out there. Story 22. I think a lot of women are lonely too. I just checked into a week-long yoga retreat with 21 women and just 2 of us men, and when we introduced ourselves and our reasons for joining the retreat, I was surprised that a lot of women were saying that they joined the retreat to feel connected to others again, hinting that their daily lives are more isolated than they desire. Anyways, we just have a strangely isolated culture in a lot of Western countries. Story 23. There's been a dissolution of third places which traditionally have skewed towards male attendance, such as houses of faith and pubs, and then the pandemic, along with declining marriage and partnership rates. I'm not sure this is necessarily a men's issue though. I live in a big city, and the majority of the population is women. About a quarter of people under 40 live alone, including myself, though yet again this group skews heavily towards women. One thing I find about them is that the most unhappy among the group are the ones who feel the urge to insist they're happy and love themselves at every opportunity. At least the women who are open about feeling alone and placeless are going somewhere since they recognize it and are looking to change the situation, as opposed to taking every opportunity to blame others. Social trends, I'm sure, will change with social discontentment or simply demography. If the people with above replacement birth rates are religious, as the population declines at a certain point, they'll reclaim the mantle as the largest segment of society and remake it in that image. Western secularism without thought reform seems like a self-defeating enterprise. Change happens in one guise or another, but people tend not to realize generational trends until they're upon them. Story 24. People wait outside on benches before my fitness class door opens. I was waiting there and looked around at all the other people. Every single person was looking at their phone. Put your phone away and talk to people around you. Story 25. I feel like going to a bar has become so expensive, so that social space is gone. Cars and fuel have become so expensive, it's hard to get around. Generally, I feel like over the last few years, especially, I've been priced out of my own life. Story 26. No job security and financial stability. When the professional and economic factors of your life are messed up, your social life is affected. Want to go on dates? You can't afford them. Want to meet friends? They're too busy working just like you. Want to get to know your neighbors or engage with your local community? You're too tired from work and will have to move away to find a better job soon. Story 27. We isolate ourselves at every opportunity. We live in big, sprawling houses. We commute to work in personal vehicles, or worse, we work remotely. There is a loss of third places. We engage with our phones while in public rather than with other people. Not to mention the seeming degradation of social skills from generation to generation. The older I get, the more I realize how truly awful most people are at social interaction. Story 28. People have literally stopped meeting in person. Last time I told people about something my sister and brother-in-law did, it occurred to me how out of the ordinary it was. They have a very large yard equal to several housing lots and decided to have a neighborhood party. My sister dropped invitations to every house within a 2-block radius, whether they had ever met or not. They set up a potluck with some main courses provided, set up a couple of bouncy houses for kids, and anyone who showed up was welcome. The first time they did that, it didn't seem unusual to me. Now it feels like they were aliens trying to figure out the locals, since it has become so rare for people to want to put in the effort or expense to meet those around you without something measurable in it for you. Story 29. Honestly, social media and a lack of attention spans. Amazon has trained us to expect lightning-fast delivery. Dating apps have trained people that there are hundreds or thousands of options for women. Some are overwhelmed by that. Others see it as a carousel of options to choose from and won't wait for something special to flourish, seeking instant gratification, which usually ends badly. Influencers and celebrities have trained people to think they live perfect, lavish lives and that anyone can too. No, you can't, at least not the majority. Lastly, OnlyFans and similar sites have trained some men to consume excessive amounts of adult content and give their hard-earned money away thinking they'll have a chance with said women, and women think it is easy to do OnlyFans without considering any of the consequences.